Okay, starting from now, we will learn three conic sections. And the first one is called ellipse. Ellipse. Okay, for the ellipse, let's do a quick review about a circle. Circle. The general formula is this, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And the center of this circle is hk with radius r, right? So that's what we learned. And if I give you hk, you know the center. If I give you the radius, see this is r, so you can draw a circle. It's not very pretty, but it's a circle. All right, so you can draw this. It's a very, very round circle. What about if I squeeze this way or this way, so I get something looks like this? It still looks like a circle, but it's not a purely circle. Okay, I like to call that sleeping circle. Sleeping, I don't know, circle, and a standing one, okay? But this is going to be the ellipse. Now for the ellipse, there is certain way to draw that. If I have the tool, I used to have this as a small project for the students. So if we have two nails, okay, two nails, you put them here, point 1, point 2. And then I'm going to ask you to tie a string from here to here, but with a little bit longer distance, and let your pen to hold that string from downside, and then you're going to hold, make sure the string is straight, and then you're going to draw, and then what you're going to have is you're going to have this ellipse. It's not very pretty, but what it says is this distance plus this distance. That will be the total length of the string, right? And from here to here, from here to here, it's all the same thing. So I think this gives you some idea about how to draw that. And for this ellipse, there's a lot of terms that we're going to know. All right, first of all, we have 2 points. And this is the focus, focus 1, and this is the focus 2. Okay, so we have the focus 1 and 2. For the plural, it's a foci. When I say foci, that means more than one focus. All right, and then we have from here to here. Will you draw that? I couldn't do a very, very good job, but I just tried my best. Okay, now this is called vertex. And this is also vertex. Okay, you can call this vertex 1, vertex 2. It doesn't really matter which one you call vertex 1, vertex 2. So you have vertex 1 and 2. And for the plural is vertices. Okay. And then from this vertices to from this vertex to this vertex, from vertex 1 to all the way to vertex 2. This one, we call this as a major axis. Okay, so from vertex 1 to vertex 2, we call that a major axis. And of course, this is going to be called minor axis. All right, now, next one is important. The distance. Now, if you think about this distance plus this distance equals this distance plus this distance, right? Okay, because they're the same. It's a constant. And that equals to from here to here and then from here to here. What about when it's straight? Then the length of your string is from this focus 1 to the vertex 2, and then from vertex 2 to this focus 2. However, because this distance is the same as that one, so therefore you have this point to this point and then go back, if I move this piece to here, which is the distance between these two vertices. And that is the total, that's the length of your string. So from a vertex to another vertex is major axis, this length equals 2a. I call that 2a. All right, now from here, I got to change it to different color because I think the purely black is not very obvious. So from center, this is the center. From center to one of your focus, we call this is a C. And then the minor axis, length of that is 2b. I call this is B. And from here to here, I call this is A. So this, I hope this picture shows clearly what is A, what is a B, and what is the C. Okay, so once you know this, then you can graph. You can graph. If your graph is not pretty, that is fine. Okay, now, so the length of major axis is 2a, right? And the length of minor axis, which is 2b. Remember here, a is always greater than b. Right? Now, let's find out what is the relationship between this a and b and c. Okay, so think about put your pen right in the middle here. Therefore, you have this focus, and then right in the middle. And remember this distance from this point to this focus, and from this point to this focus will add up to 2a. So therefore, each one is a, and here's a b, and here's a c. Now this is a right triangle, and we have Pythagorean theorem. We'll get a very, very important property here, which is a squared equals b squared plus c squared. I ask you to remember this. Okay, for ellipse, a is the longest one. Okay, can you remember that? A is the longest one. And then for the equation, for the graph look like this, the equation, if the center is 0, 0, if the center is 0, 0, then you have a graph of an ellipse, looks like this. And here's a, and here's a b. Right? And the equation looks like this. X squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. This is the standard form of a sleeping ellipse, which is like laying there. All right, now if you compare this one with this one, you see the difference here? Here you get some x squared, you get some y squared, and you get r squared. And here, the x squared and the y squared, the coefficient of that square term is the same. Okay, but this one, they're different. See, the coefficient of this x squared is 1 over a squared, and this is 1 over b squared. They're not the same. And we get a is greater than b. So therefore, if the coefficient of this x squared term and the coefficient of the y squared term are different, but both are positive. Did you see that? They have the same sign. Both are positive. Then you get an ellipse. And do you remember that we have this x is greater than a, right? And there's another one. Another one looks like this. All right. This is a standing ellipse. So this is x, this is y. All right, now this is the center. So far I put that at a 0, 0. And here is the focus, and here is the focus. You see the difference here? If we have these two focus, they are they have the same y coordinates. Then we get like a sleeping ellipse. But if we have two focuses, is one on top of another one. And also the vertex is one on top of another one. Then we get like a standing ellipse. And we call this is A, and this is B, right? And this is C. All right. So we have this looks like this. We have x squared over b squared plus y squared over a squared equals 1. Remember, a is always greater than b. So whichever is longer, whichever stays on this major axis, and we call that a. And we always want the a to be the greatest for greatest among these a, b, c. Okay, so if you have two equation, look like this. Both x squared and y squared, great, but they have a different coefficient, so we know that's an ellipse, and whichever the denominator, whichever is greater, and then we call that a squared, and then we can find out the shape, we can define the shape of it. All right, now what about if we have the center at HK, which for the center HK, then if you have something looks like this, then here is going to be HK, right? Again, yeah, this major axis, and this is a C, and this is a A, and that's B. Okay, so the form of this is going to be x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. And in this case, we do have this a squared is greatest, so a is greater than b, and a squared is b squared plus c squared. And what is c? C is from the center to one of the foci. Okay, and for the center at 0, now 0, 0, right now we have hk, and that is a, and this length is b, and the foci, and this is c. All right, now we have this x minus h squared over b squared plus y minus k squared over a squared equals 1. Again, a is greater than b, and a squared equals b squared plus c squared. Because usually when you read the textbook, they keep giving you a lot of formulas, and they give you some cheat sheet. I do have cheat sheet too. If you want, I can give to you. But I think it's much easier to remember this way, because for the book, some book they say, well, if you have something looks like this, and where is your foci? Where are your foci? Okay, so that's going to be from HK, go up by C and go down by C. So the foci is going to be HK plus C and HK minus C. Okay, and your vertices is going to be HK plus A and HK minus A. Okay, so it's going to, I think the graph is much easier for you to remember all those things instead of just memorize this K plus minus C stuff. It's too complicated. I think it's too complicated. I like to use the graph to show the idea. All right, now let's work on one of the example here. I ask you to graph this. 16x squared plus 9y squared equals 144. Okay, I ask you to graph this, and also I ask you to find vertices and foci. All right, now we need to make sure we have a good form of the equation. We know this is x squared, y squared. So we do have x squared, y squared, but they do have a different coefficient, but both are positive. So most likely we're going to have an ellipse, right? However, for the standard form of this ellipse equation, we need the right side to be 1. So for this case, if we want the right side to be 1, we just need to divide it by 144 on both sides. So 16x squared over 144 plus 9y squared over 144 equals 1. And then 16 divided by 144, which is 9. And then the y squared, 9 and 144, that will be 16 equals 1. Okay, so this is really the standard form. And if I compare this with this two, good thing is there's no h, no k, because it's just very clean x squared and y squared. Therefore, I get my center, hk, that should be 0, 0. That's the first thing I know. Now, the second one is I need to compare the denominator. I need to compare the denominator. Whichever greater is a squared. Therefore, I get my a squared is 16. My b squared equals 9. All right, since for a and b, we talk about the length or the distance. So we just keep the positive one. Therefore, I get my a is 4 and my b is 3. Well, I can pretty much graph it. Okay, so I get x and a y and a 0. First of all, because this one is greater, this under y is greater. So under y, the number under y squared is greater, so it's a standing one, right? It's a standing. And so from a center, now, repeat, a is the distance from center to vertex. So that will be 4. The same thing, -4. So that's my vertices. And the other side, the minor axis, will have the length of 2b. So from the center to the left and to the right by b. So from here is -3 and the +3. See, I have this 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So I can pretty much connect them with a smooth curve. So I got my ellipse. That's it. But I finished my graphing, even it doesn't look very good. It looks like a potato. Okay, so graph done. Can I find the vertices? Yep, which is here. So that's a 0, 4, and a 0, -4. Okay, okay. So that is h, then k, h, then k plus a, hk minus a. But of course, remember, I don't want you to just memorize it. You can just tell from the graph. Now, the next one is foci. How do I find a foci? I need to find a c. C, the foci will be starting from the center, go along this major axis, and go up by c and go down by c. What is c? The good thing is we know a squared equals b squared plus c squared. So 16 equals 9 plus c squared. So my c squared will be 7 because I divide minus 9 both sides. So c squared is 7. Therefore, c will be root 7. So that means you're going to go from here up by square root of 7 and down by square root of 7. Therefore, your foci is 0 square root of 7 and 0 negative square root of 7. My job is done. Okay, and the end points of the minor axis, that's a -3, 0 and a +3, 0. Okay, so not bad, right? Okay, now next one, the second question. I ask you to find the equation of an ellipse with foci -2, 0 and a +2, 0, and vertices at -3, 0 and a +3, 0. Can you find the equation? And the equation looks like this. The equation is x minus h squared over, I don't know whether it's a or b, and y minus k squared, and I don't know whether it's a or b, because one is a squared, one is b squared. I just don't know which is which, equals 1. So this is kind of like a standard form. All right, now, if you think we have the foci, which is negative 2, 0, and a positive 2, 0. So we get the vertices is negative 3 and positive 3. Okay, so have something looks like it's got to be like what? A sleeping one, right? So here's y, here's x, here's 1. All right, so what do I know? Since I know here's a 0, 0, the center, I have a two foci, negative 2, positive 2, 0. The midpoint of two foci should be the center. Or you can say the midpoint of two vertices should be the center. And do you remember the midpoint formula? If you have 2 points, which is x1, y1, the other one is x2, y2, for this 2 point, then your midpoint has the coordinate x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. That is pretty much in the earlier section of this pre-calculus class, or maybe in some algebra 2. All right, now we have this, let's pick the two foci. Okay, so we get a negative 2, 0, and then we have positive 2, 0. So the midpoint will be negative 2 plus positive 2 over 2, 0 plus 0 over 2, so which is 0, 0, which is very obvious. So it's right in the middle. So therefore, my h is 0, my k is 0. That's the best thing, right? And also because we have these two foci and the two vertices, they are along this x-axis. So it's going to be like a sleeping one. So my a squared has to be here, and my b squared is going to be here. All right, see, that's a good thing. And then what is a? A is from center to the one of the vertices. So from 0 to the, this is a 3, this is negative 3. From 0 to vertex, that is your A. So A is the distance between center and vertex. I don't care which one. Okay. Do you remember the distance, which is, if you have 2 points, which is x1, y1, x2, y2, so the distance will be square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. I give you this distance, but most of the time in this section, you don't really need. You just go there. You can see it right away. See, in my case, from 0 to this, I know the distance is 3 right away. So that is A. So in my case, my A equals 3. Okay, and my C equals 2. And H is 0. K is 0. Now, once you have A and a C, can you find a B? Because my A squared is B squared plus C squared. So A squared is 9, and a B squared, I don't know, and a C squared is 4. So therefore, my B squared equals 5. All right, now I know H, I know K, I know A squared, I know B squared. So the formula would look like this, would be x squared over a squared is 9, okay, plus y squared, because k is 0, and a b squared is 5, equals 1. That is my answer. Okay. See, I asked you to give me the general form, and here's the general form. And we got that. All right, now one more question. Number 3. Okay. I ask you to graph this. Graph x plus 1 squared over 9 plus y minus 2 squared over 4 equals 1, and find foci. Okay, compare with x minus h squared over, since this number is greater, so that is a squared. Okay, and this is y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. All right, now what is the center? Center hk. If I compare x minus h with x plus 1, I know my h is negative 1. Y minus k is the same as y minus 2, so my k is 2. That's my center, right? Okay, next one. This one is greater, so that's a squared. So I know I'm going to get like a sleeping ellipse, right? Okay, so first of all, let's graph that. This is x, this is y, and here's the 0, and that is negative 1, 2. Here's my center. All right, and then I will have like a sleeping one, so this is a, and my a is a 3, right? My a is a 3, my b is, because b squared is a 4, so b is 2. Okay, so from here I will extend to the right side by 3, and then go up to 2. Okay, so, and then to the left by 3, that's a 3, right? So from negative 1, if you go to the left by 3, so that will be negative 4. And from negative 1, if you go to the right by 3, you get a positive 2. So you get these two vertices. Okay, so that's the major axis. You're already done. And then for the minor axis, you need to go up and down by 2. So from here, you're down by 2, you get to this point. If you go up by 2, you get to the 4. Okay. Can you graph? Yeah. I'm sorry. That's a graph. It looks okay, right? Okay. Now, so far so good. All right, now once you have this, can you find the foci? Foci is going to be from here to the left by C and then to the right by C. So we need to find C. However, a squared equals b squared plus c squared. So 9 equals 4 plus c squared. So c squared equals 5. So my c should be square root of 5. Okay, it's not a very pretty number. But anyway, so we get my foci from this negative 1, we should go to the right or to the left by square root of 5. So what is the coordinate of that point? That would be negative 1 plus the square root of 5. And the y coordinate is 2. And the other one is negative 1 minus square root of 5. And then also 2. So that's my foci. Okay, now you see, for this type of a question, as long as you're very clear in your mind, where is A, where is B, where is C, then you can graph it very easily, and then you can find the major axis and the minor axis, and you can locate your foci very easily. All right, so that is everything about ellipse that we should learn.